Hi everyone, welcome back to the monthly Astro forecast for September of 2026. We're still in the aftermath of eclipse season, so let me all know in the chat how you guys are feeling today. And of course, the last couple of weeks have been a little bit of rumbling and a little bit of yeah, but it was not the easiest of time. Let us be honest with one another and share your stories in the chat. We've got Katie, and Katie says, was August just an appetizer for the entry coming in September? Oh, shoot. Yeah, well, Katie, hi. I love your comments and they're very on point because, yeah, now we are going to see the after effects of eclipse season. And of course, we've seen so many changes on the world stage already, and we saw a lot of famous people crossing over in the last couple of weeks as well. We then saw, unfortunately, the very intense flooding that happened in Nepal. That was, of course, connected to the eclipse in Pisces, the final lunar eclipse. And the fact that it's happening also so close towards Uranus stationing retrograde, which is also connected to a lot of extreme weather. So we're also going to talk a little bit more about that today during this video. And we're also going to tap into the Mars square Saturn, which is actually fully into force right now. These are the two malefics that are actually making an adverse aspect with one another. So raise your hand in the chat if you feel a little bit tired, especially if you're a Cancer or an Aries, Sun, Moon, or Rising. That can definitely be the case. And of course, also for my dear Cappies, yeah, Capricorn, your ruler Saturn is also making a bit of a difficult aspect right now. So, hi Maria, good morning to you. And we've also got a cheerier hi. And sweet Monica, love and light to you towards Texas. So many beautiful people here in the chat. And Katie says, bet Astrid knocks this one out of the ballpark, Katie. Your comments are always so funny. Thank you for making it so nice for me to read. And I'm sending a lot of love to everyone in the chat. We've also got Amanda. Hi, Amanda. And you guys are already very on fire. Do you guys feel tired? Let me know in the chat. When I look at the chat, it's already on fire. And Katie says, how's the humidity? It's like a sauna here in Charlotte. Yeah, well, honestly, Katie, here in Belgium, it's a bit cooler now, and we can definitely feel the changing of the seasons. Of course, we are within Virgo season, so that is always very particular for that time of year. And yeah, it is starting to cool off here, but there's still some kind of like, yeah, warmth in the sky, or it's like it's not too warm, but still you're like sweating, and it's like your clothes are a little bit like yeah, how do you say it? Wet or like humid. Yes, Jill Kindle says big change is still to come, definitely, with the eclipse portal still into full effect. And Monica, it's your birthday in 2 days. Happy birthday, Monica. Let's all wish her a good solar return in the chat. All right, so before we fully go in here into today's forecast, of course, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. We are nearly 100K, you guys. And Janine and JC are going to do a wonderful draw. And you can find the link for that in the description box below. So you can enter the draw and you can win a kilogram of gold, free readings from Janine, and also some free insider access passes. So be sure to check that out, you guys. And also, of course, we're triple casting towards Rumble, YouTube, X, and also my personal Astro Astrid channel. So do not forget to like, share, and subscribe while you're at it. And here, if you want to book in a personal consultation, then you can find that at the consultation page at the Beyond Mystic website. And you can use Beyond Mystic to get 10% off. I'm already booking into, I think, the second or third week of October. And if you want to know more about the upcoming retrogrades that we are about to see in the sign of Scorpio, the most intense sign of the entire zodiac, then be sure to book in on time so that I can help you guys through all of that, because that's gonna be more than a doozy, honestly. So let's start with the monthly overview. We are within harvest season. And Jill says Aries rising here. So, my dear, I'm in Aries Sun, you're in Aries Rising. Do you feel a little bit like with this Mars square Saturn? I have been feeling it for sure the last couple of days. And I think, yeah, Linda York says Aries Rising as well. Yes, feeling it. I know you guys. It's been a little bit like, and us Aries, we always want to be the first. We want to ignite. We want to like ignite new things, start new things. But now we can feel like, okay, it's time to be mature, resilience, and wrap up all of the projects that we have been like ignoring a little bit over the past couple of weeks. So it can be a good time if you feel frustrated to just like finish things. And that is very advisable for everyone during Virgo season. So hi, Camelia. And we've also got Lindy from Alberta. Oh my God, I love Alberta and I would love to see it one day with my own very eyes. So Amanda says, hope you're good. Yes, very tired. Honestly, I am feeling tired as well, you guys. So I'm going, for today's video, I've picked the most important aspects that I will put a bit of a spotlight on. Normally, I go over all of them and I just like let myself go, but today I am going to be a little bit more short and concise, also for your guys' attention span and for your guys's. Yeah, I do not want to overstimulate you too much. We just had this full moon lunar eclipse that made a square with Uranus, and Uranus is in Gemini. It's a sign of our brain. So we can feel like our brain is a little bit fried. We are fully into the process of releasing a lot of toxic energies from our nervous system, from like within our relationships, from within like certain patterns and savior victim mentalities as well. So we need like a little bit of extra time to unwind and to have like an extra snack or an extra couple of hours of sleep, and that is all okay. Do not try to be too strict on yourself. I know we are in Virgo season, but still take some extra time to unwind and to just like be a little bit lost in space, but in a good kind of way. A lot of people do feel lost in space, but more like lost in the ruins of the past. No, you can be lost in space, like staring at a wall or like into the abyss or listening to some frequency music, cuddling with the cat. Just like be a little bit easy on yourself, because when the two malefics are making a difficult aspect in the sky, it just kind of feels like our energy is a little bit off, or we can feel a little bit demotivated, or we can feel like extra tired, and it can feel like we are just not able to handle as much as normally. So do not be too strict on yourself. Hello to Poland. I am from Belgium. So Cassandra says yes, very sleepy at 8 a.m. Vegas time. Good morning to you, Cassandra. And Monica, yes, very energized and tired. There's like a little bit back and forth, and I understand what you mean, Monica, because our nervous system is so triggered, we're running on adrenaline and cortisol, and our body is actually asking us to slow a bit down. But a lot of people try to use a lot of force during Mars square Saturn, and that always kind of tends to backfire. So be a little bit easy. AJF says, hi Astrid, I've been experiencing a lot of wakeful time overnight. Tired, yes. I've been hearing it from so many people. Either they are not being able to fall asleep, or they wake up and then they're like waking up and it's like a full-on circus in the back of their mind and not being able to fall asleep back again. So you can take some ashwagandha, or you can use some saffron supplements, and that can definitely help you to make you feel more at ease. I've been taking a bit more of saffron the last couple of days, and it really helps me so much. Amanda says, I don't like the winter closing curtains at 3:30 in UK. It's awful. Yeah. And Amanda, I'm from Belgium, and the last couple of days have been a little bit more cloudy, right? So I can imagine it's the same for you over there. And living in the UK, like London is gonna be a very important theme for the upcoming month here in September. So I know there are like a lot of protests going on right now with the abuse of female citizens in the UK. that are getting attacked by immigrants. And honestly, that is going to become quite big here into September, October, November, as we are going to see Venus retrograde in the sign of Scorpio, back into Libra. And as of tomorrow, she enters her pre-shadow retrograde phase. So everything that's happening right now connected to women, and especially abuse of women, and also money and secrets and scandals, that is going to be very loud in the next couple of months. So keep yourself safe. Definitely if you live in a neighborhood where there is some unsafety regarding women, that is going to become a very big, intense theme. And I am going to host a workshop about that, because there is a lot that I am not able to say here during this public life. All right, you guys, I have difficulties with following up all the comments. Hi, Mary Beth. And yeah, John says, I'm triggered by media and politicians raising price for their people and blaming another nation for it. That is also one of the topics that I've got covered for you here today, John. So yeah, that is definitely a lot of people are pissed off, and they're right. So John, I will speak a little bit more about that during this video. Yeah, Amanda says, I feel like I'm in a boxing ring with my brain. Yeah, like Amanda, I totally understand you. It's like, and it's like you're not being fully able to unwind at night. Like, I think this night I was like having, I call it like, in Belgium, I say it's a plafondfeestje. In my West Flemish accent, and it means like you're like full awake in your head looking at the ceiling, and you're having like a ceiling party because you're not being able to sleep because of all the overstimulating thoughts in your head. That can definitely be the case, and Maribeth feels this as well. And Amanda says, whack me headphones on reggae, spiritual, away we go. That's how I unwind. Yeah, reggae. That is so nice. That is very chill. I'm a very big fan of that as well. All right, hi to everyone else in the chat. Yes, Maribeth, Valerian. It's also very good. Zafran, Valerian, ashwagandha. Do not mix them all together. Just take one. Do not take all of them. And yes, ashwagandha is like more if you're like fully in a burnout mode and feel like when you look at your screen, sometimes you have difficulties concentrating and it can feel a little bit blurry. Then I take ashwagandha because then it's like my brain telling me like, nope, we're done for today. But yeah, we need to get our responsibilities into order as well. And Katie says, my mind is racing, but my body is not. Perfect explanation of the energy, Katie. So, all right, let's dive into today's forecast, this monthly forecast. So, of course, the first transit that I will illuminate a little bit more fully is, of course, the Mars square to Saturn. Both planets are in fall. They are not happy at all. That is to say the least, honestly. Mars wants action, movement, immediate results. But then we've got Saturn there, and he's like, hey, I'm gonna restrict you, I'm gonna delay you, I am going to force you to focus on your responsibility, and if you do not do that, then I'm gonna give you some consequences. And we can be like, there is Saturn again, he's so strict, he's so tough. And when they are in a square, these two malefics, then it can feel like every attempt we make and every step that we try to move forward meets some kind of like immovable obstacle. And Mars in Cancer, it acts on his emotions, on his instinct, on family loyalty. And sometimes a lot of people are being wired that they are not like, they're not allowed to go in against the family system or the family loyalty. So if your family does something wrong and you're still conditioned to like fully protect them, and you do that during this time while they made a mistake, then you are going to be part of the karma payout. Sometimes we need to make ourselves guilty or go in against our family system and family loyalty, because we cannot keep defending people who are actually making wrong decisions, and then we are going to have to deal with the karma payout as well. So I know it can sometimes be scary to go in against what your family expects of you or what they are used of you, or like the fixer role that you've been conditioned in, or the savior role. All of that can be fully illuminated now also by this full moon lunar eclipse that we just had in the sign of Pisces. And now we might need to break a certain cycle. And Mars is in Cancer. Cancer deals with the family, of course. And Cancer also deals with your home. So I know a lot of people are going through either construction or renovation or having certain issues or things breaking inside of the home. That is also very applicable for a square between the two malefics. Definitely with Aries is the first cardinal fire sign. And then we have Cancer, the first cardinal water sign. And they're both about initiating things. But now they're like, okay, we want to do what we always do, but we're like, for some kind of reason, not allowed or not able or feel demotivated, and that can end up in some very frustrating family conversations or dynamics that are getting exposed as well. Definitely can be connected to older people, Saturn, and then Mars is younger people, and Saturn is like the general and Mars is the soldier, and they're butting heads with one another right now. So if you need to take orders also from an authority someone in authority above you, even outside of the family, that can give a little bit of problems right now. So yeah, and Aries, like honestly, Aries, they are the boss. They do not like to listen to someone else. And same applies for Capricorn, but Capricorn is not so bossy in a sense of like, I'm not gonna listen. Capricorn embodies the authority and they know what's best for themselves. Sometimes Aries can be a little bit too immature and too impulsive, and sometimes Aries can come to the conclusion like, okay, I better listen to the advice. But Aries, that is, he or her is gonna ask 100 opinions of other people, and at the very end of the day they're gonna do what they want to do anyway. So if you're like within that dynamic, you can now face some kind of a consequence within that. So yeah, if you feel like you're in front of this very big wall and you're not being able to climb over it or push it, and like rest, let it rest. Maybe it is a divine intervention, and maybe what you want is not what you need. That is something that we need to be a little bit careful with right now. Yeah. So try not to get too moody, too angry. That can definitely be the case here. We need to replace forceful energy with discipline and maturity. And if you do that, then you're gonna succeed massively. But something is like refusing to move. If you encounter that problem, examine the structure underneath that. Maybe a certain plan needs more preparation or a stronger foundation, or maybe a more realistic timeline. Aries is about instant gratification and Saturn is slowing that down right now. So we can see a lot of conflict between governments, Saturn, and the public, Cancer. We can see military restrictions. We can see negotiations that are getting blocked. We can see delays within construction. We can see a lot of added pressure involving all of the borders and national security. And honestly, you guys, I'm going to switch over to the US Sibley chart because that is actually very important. I've got something that I want to show you guys. So here we've got the chart for the US, and this Mars square Saturn is of uttermost importance for people who live in the States, because what do we see here? Here we see the sun of the US Sibley chart, and the sun, that is solar figures. So what does that represent? Presidents, prime ministers, people who are in a very high position. So all of that is connected to the sun here, which is located at 13 degrees of Cancer. And then we've got Mars here at 13 degrees of Cancer. The aspect will be exact on the 1st of September, but the entire week after that, it's gonna be still palpable in the sky. So if we scroll down, here we can see Saturn, the planet of karma, the lord of time, reality, consequences, karmic payouts, and it's also at 13 degrees. So it's making an exact square towards the sun. Honestly, you guys, when people book in a personal astrology session and I can see Saturn squares the sun, then I'm like, okay, hold your horses because you're tired, you're being restricted, your vitality is being diminished. When Mars enters the sun, it's like a time of conflict, aggression, frustration. And what do we also see? Saturn here in transit makes an opposition towards the natal Saturn here in the 10th house of leadership. So this house is so important for like the consecutive branches here. So there is a fight, there is a struggle, there is a tug of war, there is like some kind of block, some kind of immovable obstacle. And both of them point directly onto the sun, the president. And here is Mars, there's some kind of attack, some kind of violence, some kind of aggression, some kind of military conflict that is causing massive delays, obstacles, and rising costs for the people who live inside of that country. Fourth house is the people. They feel blocked, refrained, restricted. And this is putting a lot of pressure on leadership, you guys. So, of course, yeah, when the sun is like directly caught inside of this aspect until the most exact degree, then that is very striking, you guys. Watch what happens in the next couple of days. The sun is not only the country's identity, it's the executive power, and it's like people who are very high up the chain. So with Mars, it can make the Trump administration more assertive, more reactive, and also way more determined to demonstrate some kind of control, because it's actually losing control in some kind of way. So this is very much tied to new military decisions, currency wars, because Mars enters the 8th house, which is a very deep financial house as well. There might be some kind of emergency measures, or a very big like attempt to project a lot of strength during actually a period of growing uncertainty and growing ongoing conflict. So Saturn challenges authority, and it kind of confronts the leadership with limitations that actually can no longer be ignored anymore right now. So this energy is asking the Trump administration if the strategy is still realistic, if there are still enough resources available, and if the previous decisions can still be like, if they can still continue in the same kind of way. So it is a very difficult energy here, you guys. And the 8th house story here underneath all of that, the 8th house is the connection here. Here you can see the 8th house. So the sun shines a spotlight on the 8th house, and Mars is about to ingress into this house. Now, the positive part of all of this is that Mars is at home in the 8th house. But still, the 8th house is the most intense house of the entire chart, and Mars is a malefic that is squaring off with another malefic. So you guys, this is actually a very difficult energy. And the 8th house is connected to the national debt of the country. Taxes, tariffs, currencies, banking, the shared resources. It's also connected to secrets, scandal, and mostly financial or sexual scandals that can be revealed here in some kind of way. And it also brings like the financial costs of war, Mars, into full picture here. So yeah, there can be, for some kind of reason, an acceleration within like the military expenditure, and there can be an urgent demand for like additional funding or some kind of issues with that, because Mars causes losses. So when that goes into the 8th house, that is actually suggesting that maybe the funds or the equipment or maybe political support, or it might not be as readily available as expected. There can be some kind of roadblock or stop sign going on. So with the entire issue with the Strait of Hormuz, now that becomes like especially relevant, you guys. And there is definitely going to be further obstruction of the strategic passage, and it's definitely going to put additional pressure on oil supplies, on shipping, insurance costs, all of that together. So the crisis is definitely, yeah, affecting the country and a lot of other countries abroad as well. So the American citizens are definitely gonna see another rise in petrol prices and the costs of transportation, inflation, and the consumer goods getting more expensive. And Mars in Cancer, that kind of brings consequences to the home, to the people. And then it squares off with Saturn, which puts a block on the fourth house, the land and the home of where people live. So, yeah, it is not easy. And when, like, this is the first opening square. So here we can see Saturn and Mars in an opening square. Because if we look back to April of this year, then we saw Mars and Saturn making their first conjunction here at 7 degrees of Aries. And whatever seed got planted here in April, that is now seeing the first square, so the first consequences of that seed that got planted back in April. So what happened back in April? We saw the president issuing like a last chance ultimatum on Iran, and that happened during the seeding of this first conjunction. So whenever two planets come together, that is the start of a new synodic cycle. So then we see a square after the conjunction, then we will see an opposition, and then we will see a closing square, and then we will see another conjunction. So that is how astrology works. It's kind of like clockwork. So now we are seeing the first consequences of whatever happened back in April. And back in April, you guys, we had the whole fire stellium in the sign of Aries. We had Neptune, Mercury, we had Saturn, Mars, Chiron, the Sun. Oh my God, we had so much going on in April. And now there's some kind of cardinal T-square that gets formed, and that is always very difficult, whether that's in our own personal chart, whether that's in a country chart. That is honestly never good news. And another fact here is also that the square between Saturn and the Sun, that is going to happen multiple times. We already saw it happening in June. We are now seeing it again exact between the 1st of September with Mars and Saturn an exact square. But then on the 6th of September, Saturn will square the Sun exactly again because it's now retrograde. So things are being reviewed, reassessed, looking at how we can continue, if it's worth it to continue in this same way. The final square between Saturn and the Sun, we will see that in March of 2027. So we are actually watching a developing story rather than this like one isolated moment. So whatever issues are arising right now are gonna see one final big bang in the beginning of March of 2027. Then it's only gonna reveal its full consequences. So another thing that happened back in April was the fact that the First Lady, Melania, she went on stage and she talked about, she like kind of gave this public speech about whether she was connected or not connected to the Epstein case. And allegedly she went behind the president's back, which I honestly do not believe. But that is also something that we might see being re-triggered here in some kind of way. We will also see Venus retrograde kicking in soon. And that is also connected and very important for the chart of Epstein. It will be on his midheaven, on his MC. So whenever Venus, women go retrograde, looking at the past, when that goes over his MC, it's definitely going to make something very public connected to females, whether that's the First Lady and whether that's true or not, but it's definitely going to be connected to a whole other bunch of women from the past that are either gonna come out and speak or something is gonna get revealed in some kind of way. And that might also add up to the pressure of whatever's going on now for the President Trump administration. So there are gonna be a lot of rumblings. It might be a difficult time. A lot of scandals can be exposed, or there can also be malicious energy trying to harm Mars, the president, the sun, the conjunction here that we're seeing, and we're gonna have to wait until March of 2027 to get the full truth revealed, honestly. So this is not an easy period in time for the US and for the chart here. Yeah, I'm reading the comments in the chat. It's very true, you guys. I'm not gonna get them up, but that is definitely, yeah, I'm seeing some people here making some very good comments about that as well. So you can read that in the chat. Also, another thing, so yeah, this is like a major test of the authority from the nation, and the authority is being challenged. So this is also gonna indicate further problems involving the Strait of Hormuz as well, because what did we saw in April during the conjunction of Mars and Saturn, that was like all of the energy infrastructure that got blown up. Even without like a new dramatic escalation, the continuing restrictions are definitely going to push fuel back up, and the insurance cost and the transportations cost are definitely gonna go higher with the square here right now. And there's also going to be a very big debate concerning weapons and the ammunition, and if there's enough supply, because Saturn is putting a refraining aspect on all of the military teams connected here with Mars, and that might also be something difficult right now. So Homeland Security, of course, Homeland Security is connected to Cancer, and with Mars in there now, conjunct the Sun, that might also be like a heightened emphasis. Immigration, the southern border might come up, ICE. There is a lot of tension here that I'm seeing in this chart, and that is definitely going to be ongoing or like playing out into the entire month of September. So yeah, watch what happens now. It's also going to be connected somehow to what is about to unfold here in March. All right, to continue, I know this is not easy news to bring, but I want to be honest with you guys as I need to tell you what I can see in the chart. So, what else? Mercury in Virgo is going to sextile Mars in Cancer. That is actually very good for strategic negotiations, for practical announcements, for putting more energy into making your own documents or files into order. So planning, strategizing, cleaning up, that is all very good energy. Inside of the home, Mars in Cancer, and then Virgo is about like getting your ducks into a row. Then another important time period, you guys, here, September the 10th. And the first week of September is definitely going to be the most difficult one. Venus here is going to enter Scorpio on September the 10th. And that is very important. Why? Because Venus will go retrograde into the sign of Scorpio. That will start on October the 3rd. And I will host a workshop about it because it's very, very important here what's about to happen. Venus, planet of love, beauty, romance, entering the most intense sign of the zodiac. You guys, she's now still within Libra, her home sign. Whenever she jumps over into Scorpio, she will be in detriment. Relationships become more intense, more passionate, more psychologically intense and demanding. Venus is no longer going to be satisfied with like this superficial affection. No, she wants more depth and loyalty and honesty. And Venus in Scorpio is about like emotional intimacy as well. There can be like an overwhelming attraction, can be very magnetic, but it's also going to be accompanied with a lot of jealousy, maybe even possessiveness. And yeah, there is definitely a change within the atmosphere here. Venus is the benefic, and in Libra, she feels, well, she feels at home. But everything that starts right now until the 3rd of October, all of that is going to get reviewed. So look at what's happening. We see a lot of protests now kicking off in the UK about abuse of women. And that is definitely going to be major in the next couple of months, you guys. Venus in Scorpio, she does not like to be there. And it's not gonna get any better in the next couple of months. So whatever, like for your personal life, whatever is being triggered right now, with Venus already going into pre-shadow zone, that is gonna be like your key or your insights into what is about to unfold here over the next couple of months. I think Venus is only going to leave her past shadow on the 15th of December, but I need to double check that. But I know like until the end of this year, we're gonna be under this influence. So protect yourself, and if you are a female, a divine feminine, take some extra precautions. If you do not feel safe, or if your intuition is telling you not to go somewhere, listen a little bit more to that in the next couple of months. It is not to scare you, it's to make you aware that this can be a bit of intense dark energy that is gonna play off here. Also, like, Venus is about like honesty. Scorpio is about real honesty and real intimacy and like a complete, full-on, 1000% emotional investment. And that is the positive side of it, that we can, however, find that during this moment in time. A lot of people are gonna start a new relationship that is gonna be so consuming and so emotionally overwhelming and so demanding, and it's gonna be all or nothing. That is Scorpio, you guys. But on a global stage, Venus and Scorpio, they are connected to debt and taxes and tariffs and inheritances. And yeah, it's like very extreme energy, scandals, sexual scandals, financial scandals. That is going to be quite revealing. And because Venus will go back retrograde into her sign of Libra, her home sign, that means that Libra is connected to the courts, to justice. Libra is the justice keeper. And when Venus reviews stuff into that sign, I think a lot of females are going to see some kind of justice. And we are going to see some issues with the courts, with female judges, with female attorneys, or some kind of female cases or cases around females that are gonna be major headlines. So we already see the women in the United States who killed, who unalived all of her children, and then like ate her baby and all of that crazy stuff. That is now like being shared in the mainstream media. This is dark, this is intense, this is heavy stuff. And that is like the first pre-omen of what's to come and what's to be exposed here in the next couple of months. And you do not want to be creating fear or more intensity, but we need to be very aware of the energy and of how it's going to play out in the next couple of months, you guys. So I already want to give you a heads up about that. So yeah, Marybeth, the major reveals will start happening for the next couple of months. Oh my, I will prepare now. Yes, we are going to see some very big revelations. And we might definitely see some issues with like the systems of ruling, all the courthouses, all of the judges, all of the attorneys, all of the law and legality and teams revolving around that. I think we're gonna see some crazy things, you guys. Are there even gonna be like courthouses be able to make a ruling, or like I think something very intense might happen where we might see some stuff that is gonna blow our socks off, you guys. On a personal level, might be connected to like your own debt and your own taxes and your own like inheritances, or investments, or like Scorpio is big money. So yeah, just all keep that into mind. And for Epstein, it's gonna be a very, very big one, this Venus retrograde. So yeah, they are now like sharing pictures of, what's his name again? His new name is Steve, if I remember correctly, and you can correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. But they're now like showing new pictures of Epstein, or his new identity with his new female, and she is like 2 drops Ghislaine Maxwell. So we know they're still alive. There are a lot of pictures about them, and they're now just like posing with selfies in Florida. So yeah, this is all very strange, and it's gonna see a very big continuation of the story here during this time. So What else? Mercury is going to enter into Libra on the very same day that Venus enters Scorpio. Now, Mercury in Libra, he likes to be there. So he's exalted and in domicile. So that is actually some good energy here. So the communication energy, or how we communicate in collective level, is shifting more towards diplomacy, negotiation, peace deals, relationships. So good time to listen to both sides and to search for like a fair agreement without judging, without having the evidence. And we do not like, this is very good for like diplomatic talks. Decisions in court are again going to be very important. New treaties, new political negotiations is going to be very big here. On September the 10th, also Iran is like September the 10th, you guys. That is like unbelievable. It's going to be a crazy day. Look at all the stuff that happens on the very same day. Uranus is also going to go retrograde here on September 10th. So Uranus is, of course, when it goes retrograde, then the energy around that planet becomes very concentrated and fully like visible in the collective. So Uranus, unexpected turns, breakthroughs, breakdowns, sudden revelations, rebellion, rapid movement, rapid change, rapid innovation. So it kind of destabilizes systems that have become too rigid, too incapable of adapting, or have become too constricting in some kind of way. So we are going to see escalating protests, more political upheaval. Certain governments are going to lose power, and there are going to be new conflicts that are going to be ignited, that are going to expand beyond their boundaries or previous boundaries. Yeah, Uranus retrograde is like very famously for bringing a lot of plot twists and shocks and surprises. And because Uranus is moving so exceptionally slow during its stationing retrograde, all of the developments always feel way more intense and unpredictable. So, yeah, it's like if you are a Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, a Pisces, Sun, Moon, or Rising, then you are going to experience this station very personally. So expect disruption, expect change of plans. But know that Uranus, it only disrupts what already has become too constrictive to continue. And Gemini, the sign of Gemini, in which Uranus stations retrograde, that is connected to the city of London. So with all of the other things that I've just mentioned here about the US chart, and then a couple of days later, we see Uranus stationing retrograde that has such a big, profound effect on the city of London. I do not think that I need to explain much more, but it's going to become the center of disorder. Watch what happens in the city of London a week before and after this stationing retrograde. We are going to see big demonstrations. We are going to see political resignations. We are going to see major disruption. And even unexpected developments that involve the financial system. So we just came out of a Pisces lunar eclipse that is still into full effect. Then we have Uranus stationing retrograde. We also have Pluto out of bounds, which means that Pluto is no longer under control of the Sun, which is normally the boss within the solar system. Pluto went out of bounds on the exact same day of the solar eclipse that we saw in Leo on August 12th. And we see how many people that have crossed over already, like these Hayden Panettiere, then Dolly Parton, King Harald of Norway. There is more to come, you guys. There is a very big reshuffling going on, and this is only the beginning. And Pluto now going rogue or wild, or like Pluto not listening to the Sun anymore. We also saw that happening last year from August until December. So what did we saw in Asia last year? We saw a lot of Gen Z protests. We also saw in the States the unaliving of Charlie Kirk. We saw Afghanistan that went through a very catastrophic earthquake. We saw Pakistan that had this unprecedented flooding. And I think it was 2 million people that had to leave their homes. Now we see the same happening in Nepal. We are going to see other governments, we're going to see that fall, because there was also a lot going on with Japan last year, with France, with the UK. There is a continuation of whatever got kicked off last year, and these Gen Z protests were very big last year. We might see now in the last couple of months the same energy returning. So buckle up, prepare yourself. Pluto out of bounds is something very special. We're going to see that for the next 9 years, and it only happens every 1,000 years or so. That is how important this time period is. So we already saw it last year. Now we are in the second year, and there are 8 more years to come of the same energy here in the latter months of the year. So yeah, unfortunately now we see this very big serious flooding in Nepal, and my heart goes out to the people who are affected by this. But we are going to see more environmental instability, whether that's triggered by geoengineering or HARP or whatever. I see a lot of people calling it a hoax online, that it's not true. But when I look at the astrology, we just had a Pisces lunar eclipse. That is like about flooding, and we see it squaring Uranus, and Uranus, that is about disruption, shocking things. Pisces is collective grief and mourning and sadness, and it is connected to the oceans and water. And Uranus is in Gemini. There is like, there is some chaos. And Uranus is conjunct Sedna, and Sedna is connected to like a goddess that is connected to water as well, and extreme weather. And Uranus is connected to extreme weather. So that is also why we are seeing this right now. So I also just wanted to give that as well. Yeah, Palm Beach Pete. Thank you so much, Judy Jetson. Like I had such a brain fart and I couldn't remember his name, but yes, the new Epstein is Palm Beach Pete, and he's posting pictures with his new girlfriend. And Ghislaine Maxwell now dyed her hair blonde, and they think we're not gonna recognize her. Oh my God, I'm so over this bullshit and this whole show. I mean, when is someone gonna look him up? Honestly, yeah, okay. My Aries, my Aries fire. Whew, calm down. All right. Yeah, Merbet says the negative house of cards is falling down. I pray for everyone going through these devastating times. Yeah, exactly. There is a very big intense energy, and we need to be aware of it so that we can kind of protect ourselves from that. So Uranus in Gemini, that is also connected to like roads, communications, and that all being disturbed or invaded or disrupted in some kind of way as well. So we might see some power grids going down. We might see some issues with electricity. We might see some issues with cyber attacks. That is all Uranus. But in Gemini, like all of the data centers also that they're building right now, also connected to this. And Pluto is trining it, but it's not because it's a trine and a harmonious aspect that it's good news. I see so many, and that is sometimes where my Aries fire gets a little bit annoyed, because I see a lot of astrologers, yeah, but we're seeing a trine between Pluto and Uranus, and I'm like, yeah, but if two bad boys are working harmonious with one another, does that indicate good news? In my opinion, it's not. If two bullies at your high school decide to make a pact and start working together without any resistance, that is a trine, it just flows naturally. Is that then good news? So that is how I look at it, honestly. So also, yeah, so back up everything, back up your devices. We can see some disruptions with the internet. It might seem like a very short Mercury retrograde energy that gets triggered here with the Uranus retrograde. Yeah, artificial intelligence might act very strange, very weird, and it might even shock certain people. If we see what AI has been up to by themselves in the last couple of weeks, it is some scary shoot, you guys. So there's definitely going to have to be some limits and boundaries that need to be made here with that as well. Then we switch over to the new moon in Virgo, and that will be at 18 degrees. And you guys, 18 degrees, that is a Virgo degree. So the universe is trying to say a lot of important stuff lately, you guys, because if we look back at the square between Mars and Saturn, then that happens at the 13th degree. And 13th degree, it is an Aries degree. And it happens in Aries with the ruler of Aries, Mars. So that in itself is already like the universe saying, guys, watch out, watch what happens. Then we see the new moon in Virgo, 18 degrees, a Virgo degree. Then we will see Venus stationing retrograde on October the 3rd at 8 degrees, a Scorpio degree. Honestly, you guys, it's kind of wild. The energy, and there is a lot of emphasis on the sign in which it happens. There's like each and every time now for the next couple of weeks, a double dose of like the energy and the sign that it's in. That is special and it is rare. So these are very important times, you guys. And of course, the new moon, new beginnings, new seed is being planted. We are getting out of the eclipse corridor here during this time. And it can be a very constructive moment here for our personal lives. Virgo rules over our work, our duty, our service, our health and well-being, our daily routines, how we organize everything. It is also going to put a very big emphasis on agriculture, cattle, food, wheat, fertilizer, all of that, you guys. So it's putting an emphasis on like all the systems that keep society functioning day by day. And the new moon is like a kind of invite to make some practical improvements. So it is a sign here, Virgo, of harvesting the results. It's about skilled craftsmanship, practical service, and also like the analytical mind that knows what to improve and what to remove. Because Virgo has like the skit or the skite, I don't know how you pronounce it in English, but it's like to chaff off everything that is no longer beneficial or like making you grow in on a daily basis. So yeah, this is about like consistent improvement, self-improvement, but globally it can put a lot of emphasis on healthcare, on the workers, like the working class, all of us, you guys. So food production, cattle, wheat, fertilizer, agriculture, environmental management as well. So we might see some announcements that try to improve the efficiency. But we're gonna need to wait and see if that's gonna be helpful, because in February of 2027, we will see the last full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo, and then I think the food shortages are gonna become very obvious. So, you guys, Virgo season is always a season to prepare. So, stock up your pantries in all kinds of ways. How, like, just like be a little bit prepared. That is what Virgo wants us to put like our focus on during this time. And maybe you're not gonna need it in the first couple of 6 months, but after next spring you're gonna be glad that you did so. Not to cause any fear, not to cause any panic buying. Please do not go to the store and buy all of the toilet paper. We're over that, you guys. We saw that in 2020, and no, that's not what I mean. I do not want you guys to feel any panic. No, I want to help you by saying this so you would not have to feel any panic by next year going into 2028. So, Maribeth says Tyson beef processing plants are shutting down. I'm not sure why at this time. Yeah, it's a Mars square Saturn. A lot of things are being shut down. A lot of issues and obstacles, immovable obstacles are coming up. If you look at April with all of the energy plants that got blown up, then all of like the chicken farms and other very big farms in the US as well that suddenly were caught on fire, or like it's all connected. We know what the plan is, Maribeth, so it's probably just another step in that process. All right, let's continue. John, I do not fully wait. Since Virgo is very, very good at hiding a secret endeavor, it might be wise not to look under a rock. There might be a rabbit hole it is covering. Yeah, that is definitely the case, John. But Virgos, they're always gonna catch it. Like, I'm a Virgo rising. Like, honestly, I pay too much attention to the little details. Like, if someone walks on the street and they're wearing two different colors of socks, then I've spotted it. It's very typical Virgo. And it's like a stupid example, but trying to like show you guys the energy. All right, more about the new moon in Virgo later. Let's hop over to September the 12th. Mercury in Libra, trine Pluto in Aquarius. So we see a trine between Mercury and Pluto that is very good for like investigating stuff. Because Mercury is the receipts, what's being put on paper. The trine to Pluto is like either leaked information or going to the depths or some kind of powerful negotiations between governments and corporations, the tech guys, the tech giants, all of that. We might receive some news from them. But we need to be careful because it's also opposing Neptune on the very same day. So here we saw Venus in the beginning of August. If you guys watched my August monthly forecast, then this was the time when Venus was triggering all of the outer planets. Now it's Mercury's time in September. So August was very important for love. Now it's more about like information and certain documents or receipts or phone calls that contains important information that we need to know. That is more the month of September now. But yeah, Mercury opposing Neptune, that is very difficult to like separate the truth from fiction or from projection. And someone might withhold information, or there might be misunderstandings because we do not fully understand one another. So yeah, double check. If you need to put your signature under some kind of document during this day, double check, read the fine print. You can be deceived. And not saying that you cannot sign anything. No, just be more awake, be more aware, double check, double read, and make sure you do not miss the fine print. That is also a very famous day for like propaganda and misinformation. A lot of confusing political statements will be made. We will see manipulated images and a lot of uncertainty that can be triggered here within the collective. Neptune rules over the collective, and Aries, war. So it's very unclear. On the 13th, Mercury will make then a trine with Uranus, so that can be something surprising, a piece of information that leads towards a breakthrough, or you might see more clearly than the days before that. We are going to see some developments with technology or AI. We might see a scientific discovery. That is the energy connected to that. On the 14th, we see the Sun in Virgo, sextile Mars in Cancer. These are two male planets, and it's good actually to get things done. It can restore the motivation, and it can help us act in like a constructive kind of way. It can be very productive for working, for healing, organizing, doing household projects, and yeah, we can complete certain tasks, and that is a very beneficial energy. On the 15th, we see Venus in Scorpio making a square to Pluto in Aquarius. Mark your calendars. Why? Because this is the first of 3 squares to come until the month of December. So I'm going to fully highlight that during my Venus workshop. And watch what happens. It's going to happen 3 times. And Venus is in fallen Scorpio and it is making an adverse, difficult aspect towards the ruler of Scorpio, Pluto, which is in Aquarius, the collective. You guys, it's the first part of a very much longer story that is going to return one time in October and one time in December. In our personal lives, it can be about like a lot of buried issues within our toxic entanglements and attachments towards other people. It can involve jealousy, power, control issues, trust issues. All of that can come to the surface. But financially, it can expose also a lot of problems with money. And on a global level, we're gonna see some I think run on the banks, honestly. We're gonna see certain issues with banks, with large corporations, sexual scandals, corruption, hidden wealth, big money, who's really in power. Yeah, and a lot of like forceful, intense, manipulative attempts to control valuable resources. And we can see a public figure or some kind of institution that is going to face a lot of the revelations that are going to be uncovered, and that it's going to totally change how people receive them, how they perceive them. So yeah, whatever is triggered here in September, it's only going to be like a sneak peek into like the full leak into like, or the full revelation into October and December. So yeah, mark your calendar. On the very same day, like if this wasn't confusing enough, we also see Neptune stationing, Neptune that is retrograde, that is then fully making the sextile to Pluto and Aquarius. Now, it's an aspect that has been long into play, but, and I know they are in a sextile, which is also a positive aspect, but yet again, they are two malefics, you guys. Pluto is intensity and power and struggles and forceful energy, and Neptune is confusion, not being able to see the full truth. And then on the 17th, we see a Chiron retrograde re-entering the sign of Aries. Just before we will see the full moon in Aries as well. But that will only be on the 26th. All right, so Chiron retrograde, this is like the wounded masculine. Like, honestly, if we would have more female leaders on the world stage making very important decisions, do you think that a lot of females would send all of their children off to war? No. So yeah, Chiron retrograde, wounds. It's now in Taurus. It's going to re-enter Aries. Aries is a sign of masculinity, of identity, of how we like kind of also believe in ourselves, which is now a bit more difficult with Neptune and Saturn there as well. So we have a lot of like difficult energy back into the sign in Aries together, and it's gonna kind of reopen an older wound that involves courage and the right to claim our birthright and the right to like exist as ourselves. And we are going to revisit a lot of moments when we felt rejected in the last 8 years, because Chiron is wrapping up its 8-year transit through the sign of Aries. So in the past 8 years, where we felt powerless, rejected, punished, definitely punished for when we were asserting our needs, that is going to get re-triggered in some kind of way. So you can already imagine how that's going to play out on the world stage. And it does not necessarily need to be a setback, but we can look at it as like an opportunity to complete the healing process that began 8 years ago. So globally, it's gonna expose way more wounds involving masculine leadership, masculinity in general, war, independence, national identity. So a lot of old conflicts are going to return because the original wound was never like properly addressed or fixed or healed in some kind of way. And I think that's quite obvious with how the world is going right now. And I'm not like particularly pointing fingers at one specific nation or country. No. If you look at North Korea and China and other parts of the world, Ukraine, there is a lot of wounded masculinity. And also Europe, we here then have Ursula von der Leyen, not lying, but really lying. Yeah, it is not only for males. We all have the yin-yang polarity within ourselves. And some women have been operating way too much within their masculinity as well. So I'm not pointing fingers only at the males, although, like, honestly, I'm going to dedicate a whole section during my full moon and Aries video about this. But if we look at the receipts, we are in Virgo season. Mercury is in Virgo. If you look at the receipts, the last 50 years, testosterone has been down 50%, you guys. And we can see it very obviously. So we might need to do something like Chiron is the wounded like healer. We need to heal, and especially in men, their lack of testosterone. Because what is gonna get us out of this mess, that is strong men. We need more strong men. And we need to boost the testosterone levels. But I feel like a lot of women are overpowering their husband. And I feel a lot of women who are single, if I look at like my friend group and all of my pretty girlfriends who are single, they cannot find a man that outman them. You know what I mean? So that is like the final wrap up of Chiron and Aries. And I think that is going to be very important to dedicate more of our energy towards that. Yeah. Feminine nurturing influence versus testosterone driven male conflict. Yeah, and I feel like a lot of the divine feminines do not have the space or time anymore to tap into their nurturing influence, also due to the whole feminist bullshit and all of that, and the brainwash. And we are not equal. No, I mean, like, okay, I need to be careful that I do not trigger too much people here. But no, men are more strong, physically strong. Women are mentally very strong. I'm not gonna say stronger because it really depends on each situation, of course. And I do not want to piss people off here with what I'm saying, but I feel like a lot of women are brainwashed within like needing to operate too much within their masculinity, while men are being weakened and their testosterone levels are being attacked massively. And yeah, the roles are a bit reversed right now sometimes, and I think that is sad. So thank you, Nan Drakey Warrior. We need more strong men, and yeah, I do not want to trigger you too much. Like I sometimes hate pissing people off, but as an Aries, I've heard that I'm actually quite good at that, but I do not want to cause any fights. All right. So, Maribeth says, yes, there needs to be a balance of masculine and feminine energies. We are in the middle of these energies that need to come together and work together to bring them harmony back. Yes, there's been a massive attack on family traditions, on the roles within the family, on how we like are being a pact with one another. There is such a big attack on the family pact, and we need to really heal that. John says, I am stubborn. Yes, you are stubborn, John, because you are a Capricorn with a Scorpio rising. But it's okay. Sometimes you can be stubborn in a good kind of way as well, not giving in to the darkness. That is an example of being, of using stubbornness in a good way. So it all depends on your unique situation. Nan Reiki Warrior says, I've been working on my feminine energy. I have a lot of masculine placements in my chart. Nan Reiki Warrior, your name Warrior says it like in itself. I understand you. I'm also a masculine sign. And sometimes I am surrounded by a lot of men and they all seem to fear me. And I think that's sad. And honestly, it kind of hurts me sometimes. I always need to be the one that says it. And yesterday we were having a little party, and at the shipyard we refitted the whole boat, and there was like a party because of a baby that was born there. It was a very beautiful party, and we were like slamming with a hammer nails into a wooden chop block, and like all the girls were inside, no, and I was outside with a sledgehammer. And I had like the time of my life. But it's so funny how men are sometimes afraid of strong women, while actually that needs to be celebrated. And they even said it to me yesterday, like, yeah, but I'm a little bit scared of you. And I'm like, why? I'm like always sweet and I'm always like caring. And I feel like men should not be afraid to stand in their power. And when they see a strong female, Aries, Leo, Sag, they need to ignite that fire and not try to pour it down or like extinguish it. So, all right, enough with rambling. Let's continue. September 18th, Mercury opposing Saturn. That can be like a delay in conversations, or there can be some kind of difficult conversations or difficult decisions or some certain reality checks. So yeah, not the easiest day for making a commitment or putting something on paper, but you can declare new boundaries. Then on the 21st, Mercury is going to sextile Jupiter. Jupiter brings more optimism, can be encouraging news, and more generous conversations. So, or like more generosity being shared within the conversations. So, good day for interviews or like, yeah, uplifting announcements. Let's just call it that. On the 22nd of September, we have the autumn equinox and Libra season is about to get kicked off. So that is when day and night are kind of like approximately equal, and it's putting a very big emphasis on balance. That is like the central theme here, and it is also the start of when the nights become longer for the northern hemisphere, of course. So Libra season, it turns our attention always towards like relationships, justice, the courts, law and legality, diplomacy and cooperation. So on the 25th, we will see the Sun in Libra opposing Neptune in Aries, and that is a little bit difficult. It can create fatigue, confusion, disappointment, because the Sun is our vitality, Neptune dissolves it. Rest a little bit more, do not make important life-changing decisions on this day. On the 26th, the Sun in Libra is going to trine Pluto, and that can give a little bit more strength than the day before. So that is going to be better. And we are going to see like some kind of opportunity where we can reclaim lost power without controlling another person. And then the big one comes, you guys. So let me switch over. I'm going to take a quick sip. And I can see that my computer is about to die, so I am going to have to plug it in. Oh my god, I never had this during a live, so excuse me guys for the little interruption. Oh my god, thank god that I've spotted that in time. That would have been like a bummer. Imagine me just like falling away. All right. Okay, here we have the full moon in Aries. That will be at 3 degrees. So I'm gonna show you the chart for this one. This is gonna be something, because Aries in itself, that is already like very confrontational, and it's kind of very reactive and very blunt and very honest, and it's a sign of war and masculinity and conflict, but it's also determination and like having motivation to start a lot of things. But the fact here is that Neptune. Here we see Neptune. The full moon in Aries is conjunct Neptune and also conjunct Saturn. Like the moon is smack dab between Neptune and Saturn. Dear Lord, and my sun is here. Please send help, because not easy energy to say the least. So Neptune, that can create a lot of like situations and confusion and secrets and like covert tactics, definitely in connection to war, distorted information, two versions of reality, which can be very confusion, like very like, yeah, there's like something being hidden behind the veil. And full moons are times of exposure, and look at what got seeded during the new moon in Aries, and that happened on April the 17th. Whatever happens here is going to be somehow connected to that time frame. But this is a big one, you guys. It's at 3 degrees. It's a Gemini degree. This is going to be major news headlines for sure. New news headlines around what? Neptune rules over oil, oceans, shipping routes, religion, ideological battles, these false crusades, water contamination, chemicals, some kind of thing going on again with extreme weather connected to water and flooding and torrential rains. And honestly, you guys, with this full moon here on Neptune and just the Uranus retrograde as well, we're now in front of like hurricane season, and I think it's gonna be worse than what we've seen in the last couple of years. So protect yourselves, protect your houses, prepare yourself to have some kind of escape or a bunker, like, or like a basement where you can hide if you live in like an a place where where you're more affected by that. We might definitely see a stronger hurricane season or cyclones or like category 5s, and our seawater has been like way warmer than normal, and that is going to create a winter that is probably not going to be as cold, but a lot of electricity in the air, and that creating a lot of disruption. So unfortunately, that is like another thing that we need to be mindful of. So yeah, with Neptune here in Aries, the sign of war, naval conflict, attacks that are kind of weird. And honestly, if I remember correctly, we saw the bombing of the school of girls in Iran during the new moon in Aries in April. And I'm pretty sure that was not on purpose. That was because of Neptune. And now we're seeing another full moon on Neptune. So we might see certain attacks that just go completely sideways and end up in a lot of grief because we did not intend to do something like that. But yet again, it happens because of something going wrong in some kind of way. And that is Neptune. Neptune is drunk. Neptune is not being able to see the full truth. Neptune is covert tactics. It's lies, deception, spiritual bypassing. So, yeah. All right. Yeah, I know you guys like also with Neptune before. Oh, I almost forgot to say, but like Neptune is like the energy of like false flags or like, yeah, psyops. We can see some kind of false flag or an event that is going to be used to justify some kind of retaliation. We saw that on October the 7th in a specific country in the Middle East connected to a music festival as well. So that can a bit of the energy here. Stay grounded, stay away from substances, drugs, alcohol. If you do that during this time, actually every day, but especially during this time, it's gonna backlash massively. So yeah, Aries pulls the trigger, but it's kind of like Neptune makes it very difficult to see where the target is and if the target was even real in the first place. That is like kind of the energy that comes through here. So that is going to be a very big emotional climax. And why do I say this? And I see 1818 here on my computer. Mars is at 29 degrees of Cancer, destruction of homes. 29 degrees is a critical degree, and it makes a perfect square towards Chiron at 29 degrees in Aries, sign of war. We are going to see certain difficult things here, and we are going to see in our personal lives some kind of old wounds that are going to be re-triggered that can be quite hurtful. So keep your mouth shut with the full moon at 3 degrees. It is Gemini degree. It's about communication. If you do not know what you're saying, or if you're like feeling confused or drunk, then it's better to shut up because it's going to create such a deep wounds that it's going to be difficult to heal, honestly. So, and if someone is like attacking you, just walk away. Do not react. You can give a conscious response, but do not go battling back and forth because there is no point in that. And it's quite a hurtful and difficult energy here. We also see why I'm also saying that is, of course, the square between Mars and Mercury here. That is always like words that can cut very deep. So the fact that we see T square between all of that. But more on that later. I'll do a whole video on the full moon in Aries. So, we also see on September the 27th, and that is definitely going to be way better, that Mars will then enter the sign of Leo. Mars is a fire sign, fire planet in Leo, a fire sign. It's going to do way better in the sign of Leo than into the sign of Cancer, and we're all going to be very relieved that Mars is going to move on into fire sign of Leo, because it will then conjunct Jupiter, it will trine Saturn, it will trine Neptune, it will be in a whole lot of a better condition than it is right now. So, September 28th, Sun will trine Uranus, can be about liberation, breakthroughs, and unexpected opportunities. And then also Mercury will enter Scorpio on September the 3rd. And that is when our mind becomes more suspicious because we become way more interested in like hidden motives and secrets and psychology and money and power. So yeah, conversations are going to become more intimate, but people are going to be a little bit paranoid with this one as well. So what I've also seen playing out here over the last couple of years, suddenly everything is a conspiracy, suddenly everything is a hoax. When people were using the eclipse glasses to be able to look at the eclipse, people were comparing that to people wearing mouth masks. And I was like, dear Lord, like the pendulum is swinging and it is swinging hard and not in the right kind of way. And this is going to make it worse. Mercury and Scorpio. People are going to be so paranoid and suspicious. There is not a conspiracy and everything. Okay, we know that they are lying about a lot of stuff. But I tried watching the eclipse without the glasses. And sorry, it's like almost impossible. So yeah, why would you like harm your eyes? I've watched with an older eclipse glasses and like I did not feel like I got sucked into this collective energy harvesting, but I also did like a protection prayer before that. And I also lighted a yellow candle. Yellow belongs to Leo, because when the light gets obscured, I was like, okay, I'm gonna make my own light, and you can say what you want, but you're not gonna siphon or harvest my energy. No, I do not allow it. But suddenly everyone was like lost into this like whole, yeah, comparing mount masks with eclipse glasses. And I was like, oh my God, it's getting tiring, honestly, right now. So yeah, some people might need to rebalance how they look at things as well. All right. So what else? Yeah, I think I've fully said everything. So before we do the readings for the 12 signs, I've got something so beautiful to share with you guys. Look, Shannon is offering 3 very intensive healing series. So you can go to the Beyond Mystic Academy page, and there you will find a lot of information on each of the series. She does a digestive workshop, a breast workshop, and a pelvic workshop. Oh my God, you guys, as women, we store everything in the hips. That is why trauma release exercises is so important to unlock the frozen parts in ourselves. And Shannon is gonna help you guys get through that. There are only limited spots, you guys, so be sure to get this in time before it's sold out, because it's going pretty fast, you guys. So you can go to the academy and you can get 10% off with the promo code HEALING10. And then on top of that, our beautiful Carla from the Ascensions Organized web shop, she has new shungite for you guys. We're gonna need that. The more shungite, the better. So you can go to the Ascensions Organized web shop and you can use Beyond Mystic to get 10% off. All right, you guys, before I start the readings, oh, you guys are so sweet in the chat. Yeah, brace for impact. You guys are prepared now. Like, you are all my fellow warriors and we can take it. Oh, we've been through so much worse back in 2020. Like, ain't nothing is gonna get us down, and the full moon in Aries is gonna reawaken our inner warrior, and especially spiritual warrior archetype, because it's conjunct Neptune, and we're gonna get through this for sure. Yeah, Shannon is an incredible healer. Like, she is so spot on all of the time. It's incredible. All right, let me draw a card for the collective before I quickly will go over the 12 signs, because I can see I've been rambling on for an hour and a half. I was actually planning on making this a short video, but my Jupiter in the 3rd house does not allow that. All right, what does the collective need to focus on for the month of September? Normally one pops out, but today, oh yeah, here we have it. All right. Water codes, ancient wisdom. The intelligence is within you. So here we have something very beautiful, and it's definitely connected to the full moon lunar eclipse and the aftermath that we're still in, because it's about water codes. And we just had the last and final full moon lunar eclipse and the most spiritual but also confusing and mystical sign of the entire zodiac, Pisces, that is connected to ancient wisdom. So we are being able to really tap into that and connect with our ancestors or with our spirit team and our guides and the archangels, because the lunar eclipse was conjunct a star, fixed star, one of the 4 fixed stars of Persia, and it's the Watcher of the South. It's called Fomalhaut, and that one is also connected to Archangel Gabriel. So we can definitely call upon the archangels to guide us, to protect us, to give us clarity, to give us peace of mind, inner peace, surrender. And yes, the intelligence is already within us, so, or within you. And that is definitely pointing towards Virgo season. Mercury, our mind, which rules over intelligence, is now within its home sign. So we are being very like distinctive and very discerned. Discernment is a very big theme also here. So we have the wisdom, we have the knowledge to be able to rely on our gut feeling. And it's now about like bridging the gap. And the new moon in Virgo is definitely putting an emphasis on focusing also on the practical reality, because we can only fully surrender in the unseen realms if we're fully grounded in this 3D earthly reality, which I know a lot of you guys do not like. And believe me, my Pisces stellium does not really like it a lot of the times either. But yeah, we need to get our ducks in a row, and that is definitely going to be the focus of the month of September. All right. Let's get into the readings for the 12 signs. Yes, here we go. Yes, here we have it. Yeah, Marybeth, the water codes. It's also about Mars in Cancer. That is also like bringing up this stuff. So yes, our intuition is definitely becoming more powerful. And we're making like a final end and mends with the past. Mars in Cancer is cutting out the past. Pisces full moon lunar eclipse. Things being brought up from the past that we thought that we were over. And now we're seeing a full release within that. All right. The readings for the 12 signs. Oh, I did not include how to find the rising sign this month. So if you do not know your rising sign, you can go to Astrodienst or astroseek.com or another astrology software. There are a lot of free software online. And you can plug in your birth information and then you will get to know your rising sign. So it's best to listen first for your rising and then for your sun sign. If you have a new or full moon within your moon sign, you can also listen for your moon sign. So with that being said, we are going to start with my dear fellow Aries, sun, moon, or rising. All right, you're going to have a new moon and Virgo in your 6th house. That is, of course, the house of work, health, routines, and your daily responsibilities. So this is your like annual opportunity to create a more organized or like a more manageable lifestyle. And you might also apply for a new job. If you want to do that, good energy for you guys. Maybe you want to hire an assistant. Maybe you are getting a new employee. Or maybe you want to focus on a healthier daily routine. If you want to go to the gym, perfect way to start your new gym routine. And I would advise you to do that with Saturn in your sign. This is like one of the biggest remedies for Saturn in your sign. Strengthen the muscles. That is going to give you so much more extra space in your head, Aries, because Saturn is putting a lot of pressure on your shoulders. And you need to release the tension of your shoulders. And you can only do that if you improve your daily routine and lifestyle. So the new moon also makes a beautiful aspect to Mars in your 4th house. Yeah, whatever you change in your daily routine is going to also improve your home and family life. Maybe you need to like blow off some steam right now. And then like if you fight with yourself in the gym, then you are less inclined to fight with people from your family. So it kind of works very good for me. Yeah, so yeah, chart rule in the 6th, in the 4th, excuse me, dear Aries. It is not easy because Mars in Cancer, it is squaring your Sun, Moon, or Rising. So a lot of Aries are very frustrated or annoyed, or maybe very annoyed by moody relatives, maybe mother archetypes, maybe like females inside of the home that can be a little bit. So, yeah. Use the energy to correct something inside of the home. Make an improvement, clean out your closet. Workout at home can also be a remedy for this energy. Try not to fight with family members, even though I know that is like very difficult right now. Let me know in the chat if you're like feeling that energy right now. So also, if you then look at the full moon for you, my dear Aries, of course, it is your full moon. So yeah, it's going to be a feisty one. It's going to be an extra emotional one. You're being called to embark on a new spiritual warrior archetype kind of journey, and like something can be completed that you started back in April during the whole fiery feisty Aries stellium that was in your sign. Look back to April. Whatever you ignited back then with your spark is now being fully completed, or it might see a release of some sort. Now, of course, full moons in your sign, that deals with your identity, your appearance, your physical body, and your personal direction. And there might be a very big, sensitive situation. You might feel confused, Aries, maybe not really knowing where you're headed. It's conjunct Neptune. There is like a lot of mystical energy, but it's also causing a lot of confusion. Like, I'm not gonna make this prettier than it is. Neptune is a malefic. It is creating confusion. So if you feel a bit lost in space, that's very normal. Do not project your anger onto other people, Aries. Otherwise, you're gonna get some kind of difficult block from Saturn. Do not do it to yourself. Sometimes Aries can really shoot themselves in the foot. I know all about that. Be careful. You need to really look at your responsibilities, and you cannot neglect them because you feel emotionally overwhelmed, which can be the case. It's a kind of test, Aries, to see how far you're willing to go to prove that you're on the path of truth and enlightenment in this lifetime. So, yeah, the fact that Mars squares your Chiron in your sign again, old wounds with family situations are gonna get re-triggered. Maybe it's time to put up a new boundary. If they make you feel so tired, and if they are siphoning your energy, and if they have been like trying to keep you small because they cannot handle your beautiful fire, then maybe now is the time to put up a new boundary and to maybe, yeah, not let that hurt you so deeply anymore. You know your worth. You need to know how beautiful and how necessary you are. Like, if there's a fight that breaks out, everyone needs an Aries friend. And honestly, Aries can be a lot to deal with. I'm not gonna lie. They are very like, they know what they want and they go after it, and they do not need anyone else. The only thing is, sometimes they're very loyal towards their family. And with Mars here, your chart ruler at 29 degrees in the 4th house, sometimes the love for your family is something that can stop you from going after what you want. Do not let it stop you. It's at 29 degrees, critical degree. Also be careful for like leaks inside of the home, plumbing, construction, things breaking, renovations. Be careful not hurting yourself. Chiron is in your sign. If you work with heavy machinery inside of the home while renovating, be a little bit more careful. All right. So, something else? Yeah. September 14th, Sun is going to sextile Mars, and that is going to be a good day for you. A challenging day is, of course, September the 1st, and actually the entire first week of September, because Mars is squaring off with Saturn in your sign. You're feeling tired, you're feeling demotivated, rest a little bit more, and you definitely need to strengthen your foundations without losing yourself in other people's expectations. So good luck, my dear Aries. Amy says, I don't use my Aries moon unless needed. Amy, that's funny. Thank you for sharing. Oh my god. All right, we have Taurus, Sun, Moon, or Rising. You are going to have the new moon in Virgo in your 5th house. That is the house of romance, creativity, your children, pleasure, self-expression, entrepreneurial qualities as well. And this is actually one of the most positive new moons of the entire year for you. It's in a fellow Earth sign, very beneficial. It's trining your sun, moon, or rising. So look at how you can implement more fun in your daily routine. Some of you are going to get good news from your children. If you try to get pregnant, good time to do this as well. And yeah, it kind of gives you like the green light and the permission to create something simply because it makes you happy. It's the house of joy. It's not only like practical. Yeah, this is a sign of Virgo, but you do not need to create something just because it's practical, productive, or like capable of like paying your electricity bills. No, you can add a little bit more fun into that as well. So 5th house is also romance. There might be a new romantic connection. And if you're already within one, then it can help you bring more affection or more passion and more fun back into the partnership as well. So yeah, maybe you're also gonna like rediscover or discover a new hobby or a new passion. That can definitely be the case. Your chart ruler Venus is going to enter your 7th house in Scorpio. So it's in your opposing sign. I'm already predicting it now for you, Taurus, and like this whole pop astrology always says like Venus retrograde in the 7th house, you're gonna like go to bed with your ex-partner. Yeah, for some of you that is gonna be the case, but the Venus retrograde is going to bring up a lot of stuff connected to toxic entanglements within one-on-one relationship. Look at where you're giving yourself away. Look at like who does what. Is the gift like, do you receive what you give? Are they taking? Are they like, is there real true emotional intimacy and fulfillment? A lot of you are gonna bump into people from the past, whether that's females or like women, Venus, but it can also be past love relationships. Doesn't matter if you're a man or female. It's gonna bring up some dirt from the past. Prepare yourself for that. Not a good time to make investments, especially not from the 3rd of October, but that is for next month's forecast. It's squaring Pluto in your 10th house. There might be also certain issues connected to business partnerships in the professional realm. Be a little bit more mindful about that as well. Some of you are gonna fall magnetically in love and you're gonna get all consumed. It's gonna be all or nothing. It's gonna be very intense. With the new moon in the 5th house, while Venus enters the 7th house, where she will go retrograde for the next couple of months. Woo! Like a lot of Tauruses are gonna find love. That is definitely the case, but you're gonna need to go through all of the Pluto squares as well. Be careful if you like sign an agreement that is connected to a business partnership. You're gonna need to be careful that you are getting paid enough, that you are being like not being taken advantage of in some kind of way. The square to Pluto, it can give like issues with women within a professional setting, or if you have like a female boss, then that might also bring up some hidden stuff and maybe even some secrets. A lot of you are going to discover some secrets from either your partner or exes or women that you work with together in a professional sense. It's not going to be very pretty, Taurus, and also not pretty for Scorpio, because Scorpio is the opposing sign and they are going to have the retrograde in their sign. Everything that I've said can also be applied to Scorpio here. More on that later. If you look at the full moon here for you in Aries, that will be in your 12th house. It is, you guys, like, do we have a Taurus here in the chat? Do you guys feel emotionally drained, tired, fatigued, feeling like you're hitting a wall, chronic fatigue syndrome, all of that? Saturn, Neptune, all in your 12th house. Your subconscious is like bringing up a lot of stuff from the past back up in order for you to deal with that. And there can be some confusion, but the 12th house, it is the house of rest and healing and closure. And it's a very spiritual house. It can be very mystical. And a lot of things are going to happen behind the scenes. Be careful with getting deceived from hidden enemies. Yeah, it can be good for your spiritual practices and for connecting with the divine realm, but everything that you have been suppressing is going to come to the surface. And whether that's self-sabotaging behavior, fear, emotional patterns, everything that has continued to repeat itself now wants to see a final ending. So, and with Neptune, Saturn, you feel more sensitive, more overwhelmed. This is going to be a little bit emotionally overwhelming, and your subconscious is going to be pretty loud, my dear Taurus. So, reconnect with joy, and you are allowed to take a break and to rest and unwind whenever you feel you need to. Good luck, Taurus. We have Gemini, Sun, Moon, or Rising. All right, my dear Gemini, we're going to have the new moon in Virgo in your 4th house. This one is squaring you by sign, so this one is a bit more difficult. It's in an angular house. It's going to affect your home situation, your own role that you play within that, how you connect with partnerships, and also within a professional like setting. So 4th house, that deals with your home, family, property, and also emotional security. Some of you are gonna want to decide to move, to renovate, to redecorate, reorganize your home, connect with family members, and yeah, it's good for like purchasing new furniture, cleaning out the home, investing in home, figuring out like a new family budget, all of that. It's like very practical for you with Virgo on the 4th house cusp. So yeah, create a living environment that feels more calmer and more supportive, and make it like, yeah, your home should be a place where your nervous system can relax, not like an other place where you need to like constantly do certain stuff in order to feel like. Virgo is the sign that needs to feel useful in order to find emotional stability or emotional like calmness. A lot of Virgos need to be of service in order to like calm down at night. With my Virgo on the rising, I know all about that. Do not be too strict on yourself, on family members, and there is like a new seed that is being planted, and you can break inherited family patterns here. Very beautiful. Your chart ruler Mercury will jump over into the 5th house. So that is beautiful because it is like your mind, and your chart ruler Mercury, it's more inspired to, yeah, tap into fun. And that is actually a good sign. Yeah. A lot more conversations with kids, with partners, with romantic partners. You're all thinking about that way more often. You might need to think more about like figuring out certain stuff for your children and all of that. But also, like, I know you guys like to have fun with collecting information and all of that, and this is definitely putting a very big emphasis on that. Chart ruler is going to trine your sun, moon, or rising. Very positive. Some kind of important conversation with either your romantic attraction, your children can like see positive growth and like good developments. So that's positive. If we then look at the full moon for you, my dear Gemini, then that will be in Aries, and it will illuminate and shine a spotlight on your 11th house. That is the house of friendships, community, audiences, collaborations, future goals. Yeah, it's like a future vision. It's also like hopes coming true, or like a wish fulfillment full moon. That can be the case. Yeah, there can be a friendship or group situation that sees a turning point. I think you are going to release certain friends that are only causing confusion in your life. So if they do not share the same vision, and if you feel like it's not resonating anymore, then you're gonna like release that in your life. There can be certain confusion about who is like genuinely supportive here with Neptune and Saturn. So already know that. And with the Sun in the 5th, maybe if you feel confused in your friend group, look at your personal creativity and how that can help you. So yeah, strengthen your foundations, but do not silence your creativity in the month of September. That is going to help you get through this month, my dear Gemini. Good luck. we have Cancer, Sun, Moon, or Rising, and hey, Lana. Lana's just entered the chat, and it's a perfect timing to catch the Cancer energies. Yes, Lana, like you're so psychic entering the chat while we start Cancer. That is so cool. Um, all right, so the new moon for you, my dear Cancer, is going to fall in your third house, and that is the house of communication. It's learning, writing, can be a lot of business up in the air. It can also be connected to neighbors, siblings, short distance travel, and like being on the road. So it's like a new start in how you communicate your ideas, and it's very good if you like need to put up or make an email list or like put your ducks in a row, organize your papers, buy a new electronical or technological device, websites, podcasts, social media projects. Very good to plant a new seed within that. You are going to receive probably important news from either a sibling or a neighbor, or you can also purchase like a new car, a new phone, computer. And you can also start a new course or a new study in which you then can later implement knowledge to make more money. And you can do that from inside of the home. So yeah, this is actually good. Of course, the moon is your chart ruler, so yeah, it's in the third house. And then the full moon for my dear Cancer, that will be in Aries in your 10th house. This one is in a fellow cardinal sign, so it's squaring you, your sun, moon, or rising, and that one is always like a little bit more, it creates a little bit more friction. So the 10th house, it's at the top of the chart. Whatever you say, whatever you do, whatever you publicly announce, is going to be very visible for the world to see. So it is the house of leadership, and it's also like your public direction, your vocation, what you're being known for. And so this can bring like a culmination in a major professional setting here. And that 10th house is also the house of authority. Your boss, your father, the government, the police, something within that. And it's conjunct Saturn. Saturn is like the general, and it's in the sign of Aries, police. So yeah, be careful. If you do something wrong, you're gonna get caught with this energy. So yeah, I'm not like supporting any criminal behavior, let me be clear, but I just want to say like, if you drive too fast, new moon in third house is being on the road, then 2 weeks later you are going to have a certain speeding ticket in the mailbox, and we do not want to pay for that. So no, with all of their flock cameras and other cameras, so over it, like, but that's probably my Aries led feed. So okay. 10th house, definitely also important for, yeah, getting a promotion, wrapping something important up with your boss, or maybe even some of you are gonna see your boss getting dissolved and a new power structure being installed above you. That can also be the case here. It all depends on your natal chart. So yeah, use your voice in like a practical, professional kind of way here with the new moon in the third. And then you are going to like skip the more negative energies of the full moon in the 10th. So yeah, you're gonna become definitely more intentional about your professional future. So communicate with confidence and create like a healthy balance also here between public success and private happiness. So yeah, good luck, my dear Cancer. We have Leo, Sun, Moon, or Rising. All right, my dear Leo, the new moon in Virgo will be in your second house. So the second house is the house of money, very financial house, your income, your possessions, financial security, and how that ties to your self-worth. Excellent time to create like a new financial plan, to start a new job, add a second stream of income, adjust your prices according to like the rising costs in the screwed economy, and you might be like getting more intentional about saving money and budgeting and restructuring your finances. And this new moon, it makes a sextile towards Mars in the 12th. So Mars in your 12th, I want to put an emphasis on that for you, my dear Leo, because that is a difficult one. If you have more nightmares or have more troubles while sleeping or very active dreams, that is because Mars is within the 12th house. And that is always like a little bit more difficult. It's like all the emotional inner turmoil from the subconscious becomes very active with Mars there. So give yourself a break. Do not burn yourself out. If you feel exhausted, take a little bit more of extra rest if you're able. And otherwise, you need to get like a day off, a day of leave, or like call in a sick day. You need to like take good care of yourself. So your chart ruler is of course the sun, so that is also that's also within the second house. So actually already from the 22nd of August, there has been a very big spotlight on your finances and on your self-worth, and if your job is still making you happy, or do you deserve more? Do you deserve better? Do you need to make certain rearrangements or like practical rearrangements within that? That can also be the case here. If you buy something, if you make like a large like expense, if there are large expenses, keep the receipts. That might be also a way here. And there can be unexpected costs, but I can see that this moon is sextiling Mars in the 12th. Look at how the numbers on your bank account affect your self-worth, and we need to like free ourselves from that a little bit more. And let me know, my dear Leo, how are you doing after the eclipse in your sign here two weeks ago approximately? So yeah, maybe invest a little bit in gold. It's gonna rise with Jupiter in your sign. Might be a good time to do that. So then the full moon for you, my dear Leo, will be in a fellow fire sign in Aries in your 9th house. It's trining your sun, moon, or rising, which is good for you, or less malefic, because look, the moon is jam-packed between two malefics, and the moon is like suffocated by the restrictions of Saturn and the confusion of Neptune. But for you, it's in your 9th house, and the 9th house is a very like religious house or universal house. It's the house of the Buddha. It kind of also rules over travel, education, and higher knowledge. Can be good for publishing, legal matters, and also spirituality and your personal belief system. The 9th house is what you believe is possible. So there can be very important dealings going on within all the themes that I've just mentioned. Something is being culminated, and you could even complete a certain qualification, receive news from abroad, have a spiritual or psychological breakthrough, and maybe you're gonna realize that a belief that you once accepted actually totally no longer reflects the person you are today. With Jupiter in your sign, you're becoming more wise, more sure about your beliefs. So this is actually positive. It's gonna be a release on what no longer serves you, and you're gonna look at things from a different perspective, and that is gonna lead towards breakthroughs. Just know that with Neptune and Saturn, the clarity, it is not gonna arrive immediately on the day of the full moon here, no. And be careful of like rose-colored glasses and over-idolizing certain situations, or like these unrealistic expectations. That is also crazy. Here, Marybeth says the diamond shape is telling us something good is coming. I am optimistic but realistic also. I believe in miracles, but I'm careful with this creation. Beautiful, Marybeth, that you are noticing the patterns between the lines, because yes, there is a kind of diamond shape, but in astrology, I think they also call it a castle alignment. And the castle alignment also got triggered with Venus at the beginning degrees of Libra. So yes, Marybeth, a lot of the planets are connecting with one another, and you're very smart and very like Mercury. You're tapping into the Mercury and Virgo energy, Marybeth, by noticing and looking at the little details and connecting all of the patterns together. That is like a very Mercury and Virgo. So yeah, for you, my Leo, double check if you make travel arrangements. Double check legal documents. This is like not the time to book like a one-way ticket. because somebody online said that the universe sent them like your way. So be a little bit careful with over idealizing certain situations and taking the consequences of the actions that you're making connected to the ninth house theme with the difficult energies of Saturn and Neptune here. So yeah, recognize your value with the new moon in your second house and also prepare your next move. By the end of the month, Mars is going to enter your sign. I think that's on the 29th or the 28th. And then your confidence, energy, and momentum are going to be returning, and you have been waiting on that. So good news soon for you, my dear Leo. Good luck. We have Virgo, Sun, Moon, or Rising. All right, my dear Virgo, there is a new moon in your sign, in your first house, in your house that rules over identity, appearance, your physical body, your health, your personal direction. So yeah, it can kind of indicate a lot of change for you, my dear Virgo. So it's like a full-on personal reset. Maybe you're changing something within your appearance. Maybe you're going to start a whole new chapter in whatever life theme that you want. And it definitely is going to be a decision that is going to reflect what you want, not what like other people expect of you. Because I know, Virgo, you are the sign of service towards other people, but you are not Mother Teresa that needs to fix and help everyone, and you do not need to clean up after everyone. No, it's not your task. Maybe you need to put all of that energy and do that or fill that in your own cup. That is definitely a better way of using this energy. So, your chart ruler, Mercury, that is, of course, entering the sign of Libra in your second house. So I think some of you are going to make some very big changes, and that changes is going to lead towards like another contract or a written agreement that involves finances in some kind of way. So very good to look at how you've been pricing yourself, because Mercury is, of course, also the ruler of the new moon in your sign, and it's also your chart ruler. So this is actually very important, and it trines Pluto in your sixth house. You can receive a very important message that is connected to work and your finances and how much you earn, and there can be an increase and a new start here. Yeah, cool. But make sure that it benefits you. Sometimes Virgos need to be a little bit more selfish from time to time. Then the full moon, that will be in Aries on the 26th here of September, and it will be in your 8th house. And this is going to be a little bit more, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. Why? The 8th house is deep, it's intense, but look, it's between Saturn and Neptune. That is difficult. So the 8th house is shared finances, intimacy. You can definitely pay off certain debts that have been weighing on your shoulders. Look at your taxes, if that's all in order. Maybe there's going to be, for some of you Virgos, an inheritance coming through from a father figure or an older person in your life. But yeah, you could also like receive money, settle an insurance matter, make an important decision. Definitely a decision about how expenses are divided, and if there's some kind of imbalance within an intimate relationship, then you're going to realize that you have been probably giving more time or more money or investing more emotional energy than you are receiving, and then you're going to like wipe the spreadsheet clean. That is Virgo language. So look at also where people have been siphoning from you. Siphoning, like the 8th house is psychological, financial, sexual encounters and attachments to other people. With Neptune and Saturn, it might be difficult. And Saturn in the 8th house can indicate getting a little bit more comfortable with debt. And now something is being revealed, or a debt can be paid off. And that can be a relief from your shoulders. Good luck, Virgo. We have Libra, Sun, Moon, or Rising. All right, my dear Libra, you're going to have the new moon in Virgo in your 12th house. Now, the 12th house, that is the house of rest, healing, closure, spirituality, very mystical house, connection with your spirit team. And you are ready to release an older fear or an unhealthy habit or a situation that's been draining your energy. Excellent time for therapy, meditation, doing the spiritual work, or completing something within privacy, like privately behind the scenes, with not anyone looking on your fingers. So, yeah, there's definitely a bigger emphasis on retreating and resting and withdrawal, and maybe some of you are gonna feel a little bit more tired and you need to recharge and fill your own cups. The 12th house is also the house of self-sabotaging behavior. So some of you are gonna break through something that has been keeping you small or stuck or doubting yourself, and there is a new seed that is being planted within that. And that is why your body needs ample of time to be able to catch up, because it's like working so much within your light body or within your astral body as well. Dreams can become extra vivid. You can have beautiful synchronicities through your dreams as well. Your chart ruler, my dear Libra, Venus, oh my God, there is a very big story that needs to be told here for you, Libra, and I'm gonna do a whole workshop about it. Very important for you because Venus on the 10th of September will jump over into Scorpio in your second house of money. But she's gonna go back into your sign. So she will start her retrograde phase on October the 3rd, and on November the 13th or 15th, she's gonna go direct in your sign again at 22 degrees. If you have a sun, moon, or rising between 22 and 29 degrees of Libra, you are going to be so affected by this Venus retrograde. So there's going to be a very big review of your finances and what you do for a living. And money that is owed to you can come back from the past. Not the best time to make very big investments. More about that, more on that later, my dear Libra. So we then have the full moon for you, my dear Libra, and that will be in Aries, in your opposing sign in the 7th house. That puts a very big spotlight on relationships. And like these close one-on-one relationships, clients, contracts, committed partnerships, that is all the 7th house. So there can be an important turning point that gets reached here. Some of you are going to meet someone and feel a very big, like unexplainable, mystical bond, because it's on top of Neptune. But some of you are going to try to save someone else who struggles with substance abuse, and you're going to get stuck in this martyr, victim kind of role of the savior, and it's not going to work out well if you are attracting someone who has issues and you feel the need to save them. Then I would say take off your rose-colored glasses and run for the hills. Might be something karmic here with Saturn as well. So be sure that you're not neglecting yourself like you sometimes are very used to do. Some of you can make a bigger commitment, but most of you are going to establish a new boundary. You can also sign an important contract. Maybe it's going to be a little bit more difficult to really clarify what you truly want and need from a partner, and partners can behave a little bit like drunk or lost in space. That can definitely be the case. Some of you are really going to idolize a certain new connection, and later the rose-colored glasses are going to fall off and you're going to be like, oh wow, I am surprised by this. So yeah, just giving you a little bit of a heads up. Good luck, my dear Libra. We have Scorpio, Sun, Moon, or Rising. All right, the new moon in Virgo will take place for my dear Scorpios in the 11th house. So that is the house of friendships, community, your social sphere, collaborations, your audience, social media is also the 11th house. So the new moon here is going to introduce new people in your life. So you might be joining a new group, start a new collaboration, or you can connect with someone and they can help you move closer to like a future goal that you're trying to reach. If you work online, very beautiful, excellent time to like expand your audience, launch some kind of new community project, be more active on social media. Maybe you're going to develop a new kind of dream. And if we look at your chart ruler, which is Pluto, of course, but also Mars, This new moon in the 11th house makes a sextile towards Mars in the 9th house. So there's some kind of new person that comes in and they are gonna add to how you look at the world, and maybe you're gonna end or sever a certain belief, because the new people or person or new community is definitely going to change your belief system, and it might be like some kind of a breakthrough. So this is positive. Mars is trining your sun, moon, or rising. You're feeling invigorated by a new belief system. It's off of the square to Saturn in the 6th house. So maybe some of you in like the last 2 weeks of August, first week of September, maybe you wanted to go travel, but you needed to take on your responsibility at home. Maybe you want your responsibility into your job. Some of you wanted to fly out and experience more freedom, but Granddaddy Saturn is telling you, nope, 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 you cannot leave because you have all these responsibilities that you need to commit to. Now that energy is loosening and widening, so that is positive for you, my dear Scorpio. So yeah, your chart ruler in the 9th house, a desire to learn, to teach, to expand your horizon, expand your experience. And this is definitely giving you a lot of energy to, yeah, maybe pursue a new certification, qualification, publish something, and you are also likely to defend your beliefs more passionately. But do not get the stinger out, my dear Scorpio, because the full moon in Aries will be conjunct Neptune, and Neptune also kind of deals with intoxication, and it's in your 6th house. So the 6th house is the house of health and well-being, and of course here with Saturn, if you have chronic issues, then that is going to be highlighted fully. So 6th house is not only your health, it's also your daily routine, what you offer as a service, your work, your colleagues. If you sit around a desk, oh my God, I totally hate that. Sitting on like an island, like a desk, which is an island full of people. Oh my God, that is like the perfect setup for burnout. And that is something that you need to be careful for here, my dear Scorpio. So the positive part here is that you can create some kind of culmination, or you can definitely you can meet a deadline, and a deadline that has been waiting on your shoulders, and now something is like, it's like a kind of relieving energy, and you can complete an important draining task, and now you're like, yes, more time for freedom. But then Mars is about to enter your 10th house. Oh my God, you Scorpios are definitely not gonna like me saying this, but whenever Mars enters the 10th house, that is another big emphasis on work. But then it will try Neptune and Saturn, so that's gonna be way better, honestly. So yeah, important developments with colleagues and employees are definitely possible. Someone might leave, and maybe that is gonna give you some extra work. That might be the case. Or maybe certain work arrangements change, and maybe you might need to establish a clearer boundary at work. And with the sun and the 12th house on the opposite side of the wheel, you need to balance between productivity from the 6th and recovery from the 12th. So listen to the subtle cues of your body. Your body might need a little bit more rest during this time. So good luck, my dear Scorpio. We have Sag, Sun, Moon, or Rising. All right, my dear Sages, if you're in the chat, let me know how you're feeling, because Jupiter is in Leo and it's been trining your Sun, Moon, or Rising from the 9th house, the traditional Sagittarius house. This is cool. All right, but the new moon in Virgo is in your 10th house. So the 10th house is the house of work, career, very publicly visible, reputation, leadership. So this can bring a very important new professional start. Some of you are going to apply for a new job. Some of you are going to receive a promotion. You can start a business, because the 6th house is where you work for a boss. 10th house is like being your own boss. So that is the difference between the 6th and the 10th. So if you want to launch a business or take on a position that has greater responsibility, good time to do that. If you put something out, your work is going to become more visible. You might have good confirmation from your boss, and maybe people in an authority position are starting to recognize your expertise more fully, and somehow there might be an opportunity to establish yourself more fully in your field of authority. And then it sextiles Mars in the 8th house, so it's also good if you start a new professional chapter. Then it's going to be very good for your finances as well. But your chart ruler Jupiter, wow, that was like a tongue twister. That is in the 9th house, and that is your house that you like so much. But I mean, like, this is so cool. Travel, education, philosophy, higher knowledge, connecting with people from a different cultural background than you can open up new doors, can bring in generosity, happiness, abundance. And oh my God, as I'm saying it, it starts pouring so much down here that there's like so much rain pouring down. And it kind of feels like Virgo is like planting and harvesting and crops and fertility and all of that, and like things blossoming and growing. It's also connected to Taurus, of course, I know, but a seed is being planted in Virgo, sextiles, Mars in your sign, more money, and then Jupiter, the great benefic, your chart ruler, is in the 9th house of divine protection. Yeah, this is cool. Let me know how you guys are feeling with this energy. It's trining your sun, moon, or rising. Perfect time to go on a long distance journey. Perfect time to, yeah, dive into these metaphysical topics, study new stuff that interests you, expanding your horizons. And when you do that, you are going to come back with a new set of eyes, with a whole new rewired, rebooted belief system. So this is so positive. Let me know how you're feeling, my dear Sag. Then we have for you, of course, the full moon in Aries, and that will be in your 5th house of fun. And a fellow fire sign, trining your sun, moon, or rising. Like Sag, it's gonna be quite a good month for you. Even though Mars in the 8th house, yeah, it can bring sometimes a little bit losses with investments or scared emotions connected to trust and vulnerability that are being brought up. But overall, I know you can handle it. You have so much wisdom, so much expertise, and you're also so like self-assured. Like, I do not see too much of a big of a problem. Now, of course, this full moon in the 5th house, it is the house of fun, but it's conjunct Neptune and Saturn, which is a little bit more difficult, honestly. But still, the 5th house is the house of fun, joy, romance, creativity, children, pleasure, self-expression. So yeah, there's definitely a very big turning point within a romantic situation. Some of you are gonna meet someone and you're gonna put on your rose-colored glasses. And just like I said for Libra, be a little bit careful when they come off. But this could definitely also be like a karmic, spiritually destined new situationship that comes in. And I'm calling it a situationship because Uranus is in your 7th house as well. And Uranus makes a quincunx towards Venus in your 12th house, the house of bedroom pleasures. And Uranus in the 7th is about freedom and like letting your partner free. And the more you set them free, the more closer they're gonna come. Venus in your 12th house of bedroom pleasures is about to station retrograde. That is why I'm saying a situationship. There's gonna be some unexpected plot twists into the mix here, my dear Sag. Be aware of that. Still have fun. Let your hair down. And yeah, other than that, 5th house is also connected to like important developments with children. Maybe some of your children feel a little bit tired and confused, and maybe you're gonna need to have a talk with them to figure out what's going on. Good luck, Sag. We have Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Rising. You're gonna have the new moon in Virgo in a fellow earth sign in your 9th house, trining your Sun, Moon, or Rising. Very beneficial, my dear Capricorn. And the 9th house is the house of like broadening your horizons, finding cool connections with people of a different cultural background than yourself. It is a universal house. It is like the house of the Buddha, religion. It can also be about teaching your wisdom, publishing stuff, making big announcements, law and legality. All of that is intertwined. It's kind of like it's a cool house, the 9th house. And it's like connected to your belief system. So this is like you embarking on a new journey, whether that's literally or symbolically. You might really enroll in like a new course, start teaching, publishing your work more fully, make plans that involve like another country. And it supports Mars in your 7th house, so very good for like having overseas clients, contracts, or a collaborator that's going to help you move you forward. You could even plan a journey together with your partner. 7th house is also marriage. You could enter a professional agreement, all very beneficial here. And if you're dealing with a legal matter, whether that's like contracts in court cases or an immigration process, then there can be new steps that is indicating like a new practical way forward. But Virgo always requires like careful preparation, but you're very good at doing that because you're also a fellow earth sign. Check all the documents, deadlines, little details. Overall, very good. Your chart ruler Saturn is still within the 4th house of Aries, within like more, you're reviewing, because Saturn is retrograde, all of the responsibilities and connected. Now, all the responsibilities and things you are committed to within the household. Everything, yeah, you've committed to, with maybe even like family members, like responsibilities and all of that. Sometimes they can weigh a little bit heavily on the shoulders, so make sure that you divide all the responsibilities in an equal kind of way. All right. The full moon for you, my dear Capricorn, will be in Aries. And of course, that activates your chart ruler, Saturn in your 4th house. So that is why I didn't go fully in on that during the new moon, because I'm going to highlight it here more fully. 4th house, home, family, property, your emotional sphere. 4th house is also final endings. So Saturn can be about older relatives. And there might be an energy here that gets dissolved. And Mars is about to enter your 8th house. And I think maybe some of you Cappies around the 15th of November are going to have to deal with some kind of inheritance. So but that's very specific and not for all Capricorns, of course. So yeah, you could also simply complete a renovation, or you could move houses, find a new stability. Like Neptune is where energy gets dissolved. It like disappears up into thin air, and then you find a new reality and a new crystallization of a new home with Saturn. That can also be the energy here. So yeah, if you feel a little bit more emotional, and like Neptune can create you to be overly sensitive with these energies here at play. So yeah, you need to build a new foundation that is emotionally safe and secure, but also practically sustainable. And there can be a catch or two during this time. So good luck, my dear Capricorn. We have Aquarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising. All right, my dear Aquarius, you have the new moon in Virgo in your 8th house. Now, the 8th house, that is a very deep mystical house. It is like the house of darkness. Dum, dum, dum. Do not let that scare you. But fears are within the 8th and also the 12th. The 8th is the things that we fully fear. And then the 12th house is how that fear sabotages ourselves. That is a bit of the difference. But the 8th house, that is definitely about like shared finances, taxes, mortgages, spousal support, inheritance, real intimacy, psychological, financial, and sexual entanglements with other people. And that then leading towards very deep, profound inner psychological transformation. So, yeah, the 8th house, that is something. But there might be a new opportunity here that gets planted around like merging finances with a partner, because Jupiter is in your 7th house. So there is a lot of luck and blessings within the realms of partnerships coming in, and maybe you're now fully moving to the next stage. And it's 6th house, Mars in your 6th house. So all the changes that are going on at work could also improve your financial situation. Or maybe your partner has a very big blessing and breakthrough, and that then makes sure that he or she is being able to share more with you. And I see 19:19 on the clock while I'm taking a sip. So for a lot of you guys, it will be more in that way. Your chart rulers, Saturn and Uranus. Saturn is in the 3rd house. I'm going to skip that for the new moon, full moon. But Uranus is still within your 5th house, trining your sun, moon, or rising. There can be unexpected pregnancies, unexpected breakthroughs within your hobbies, passions, creative projects. And if you have already children, then they can act way more rebellious. So it depends on your own situation, of course. So if we look at the full moon for you, my dear Aquarius, then that falls into your 3rd house. It is jammed between Neptune and Saturn, which the moon really does not like. And the 3rd house is the house of communication. So learning, documents, putting your signature under something. 3rd house also rules over your siblings, neighbors, being on the road. And if you are going to make a road trip, then you definitely cannot drink. Of course, you cannot drink when you drive the car, but I mean, like, you go on a road trip, you have a fun weekend, you drink at night, and then the next day you have a hangover and you decide to drive back home. I would strongly advise you not to do that under this energy. But you are going to receive some kind of important news. With it being in the 3rd house here, and that could be news from one of your siblings. And the 3rd house is siblings in general. The 11th house is siblings one older than you, but that is empty right now, so I cannot really say that for sure. But the sun is in the 9th. Belief system, like, someone is gonna tell you and you're gonna find some kind of missing piece of information that is gonna complete the puzzle, and with that fact from the 3rd house, your belief in the 9th house changes. So you're gonna learn something new, 3rd house, and then that new piece of information is like kind of challenging a story that you previously accepted as truth, the 9th house of truth. So there is like something being released within that energy. So writing, teaching, podcasting, email list, technological devices, all part of the 3rd house as well. So create clearer agreements and communicate with greater intention here. Important changes with money, and the right information is going to be very essential here before you make your next move. So good luck, my dear Aquarius. We have Pisces, Sun, Moon, or Rising. All right, my dear Pisces. I'm going to open up the full screen because I want to share some of the love with each and every one of you. Like, let me know in the chat how you are feeling after the last full moon lunar eclipse in your sign that we just had 2 days ago on the 28th, like 27th into the 28th. I know you've probably shed a lot of tears, and probably you also experienced kind of divine intervention or magic or miracles. It all kind of depends how far you are advanced within your own like spiritual journey, of course. But I know Pisces, you're the sign of spirituality. And when we have full moon lunar eclipses in your sign, then emotions tend to rise high. So I hope you're doing well. I hope you're finding some inner peace of mind. And if you look at the new moon for you, then that happens in your opposing sign. So we just had the full moon lunar eclipse in your sign. So now the new moon is at the other side of the wheel in Virgo. And the 7th house, that deals with marriage and partnership. And it also deals with like, one-on-one relationships. Also your clients, also your like all of your committed partnerships fall within the 7th. So it can bring a new beginning in love or in business. If you're single, you might meet somebody. Definitely after the last eclipse in your sign, you're releasing a lot of stuck energy from the past 14 years since Neptune entered your sign. There was so much confusion, and now, you had like the final big release within your own sign, and that can be very very intense and very emotionally overwhelming. So of course, this new moon makes a sextile towards Mars in your 5th house. So this is cool because Mars is in a fellow water sign. It's trining you by sign. It is giving you like more energy because you probably feel a little bit demotivated or a little bit tired, but Mars is helping you. And Mars is also helping the partnership zone here, and it's in the 5th house. It's the house of like romance and attraction and flirting and dating. It's also the house of children. If you have kids, they might have been a little bit of a pain in the for the past couple of weeks with Mars in that sign, and they might be a little bit like moody and crabby and passive aggressive towards you. If you notice that, that is why. But the fact that it sextiles your new moon in the 7th house, there is like plenty of romantic and creative energy here at play. And if you're already within a relationship, then that relationship can also become more passionate. Or a friendship can yeah, go into something more. And that can also be the case here. Your chart ruler, Jupiter and Neptune, you also have 2 chart rulers. Jupiter is in the 6th still, and it's trining Saturn in your 2nd. You should have an increase in work, and that then offers more of stability within your savings or within your income. Sorry, income, the money that you work for yourself. I know you've probably had to budget a little bit more lately, but Jupiter is trying to give you a breakthrough within that if you have been putting in the work. Yeah, Katie, oh my god. Katie says, the eclipse with my moon at 0 degrees of Pisces was... and a lot of like emojis indicating that it was not fun. Yeah, Katie, I share a Pisces moon and an entire Pisces stellium with you. Oh my god. I'm gonna spare you the details, but yeah, it was something for sure. And Garden Star High, she says Pisces Sun and Rising definitely releasing old energy. Yeah, it's like this one was so big, and it was like taking out energies from past lives as well. So it was like, ooh, very, very sensitive, very overwhelming, but also kind of accompanied by magic in the air, like unexplainable energy, and you're like not fully able to put your finger onto it. And it's guiding you in the right direction, even though we cannot see where we're going. And that is for everyone that's watching. We are obscured by the eclipse and by the Pisces veil, but in the next 6 months, we're fully releasing all the difficult energy in Pisces. I cannot wait. My Pisces stellium is going to pop a bottle of champagne, and I normally do not drink. So that's also going to be something with Pisces energies you can never drink. Because if you only look at a glass of alcohol, you're dancing drunk on the table. And I've noticed that for every Pisces. It's kind of funny. Or even like with Pisces, with all my Pisces energy, when I'm around a lot of drunk people, I start to feel it as well. I pick it up and I start like rumbling over my words, and I start to kind of feel drunk. It's very, very strange, and I cannot explain it. So yeah, Garden Star and Katie, let me know with your Pisces energy if you feel that as well. But it's actually very cheap, so it all has its pros and cons. All right, my dear Pisces. So the full moon for you, that will be in the 2nd house of income. It's like a very financial house. It's about your possessions, security, and your self-worth. So a very big financial situation might see an ending, or you could receive a payment. You could complete something within your streams of income. You can do a major purchase. If you do a major purchase, keep the receipt. It's conjunct Neptune. Something might be wrong, or it might get lost in space, or when it's being delivered at your door, suddenly, no, we cannot find it anymore. So make sure you keep the track and trace code and the paperwork for that as well. And yeah, you could also change your prices, make a decision about your job. And yeah, with Neptune and Saturn, I know your money house, it kind of carries a very strong emotional charge right now. And Neptune can create a bit of uncertainty, and Saturn can definitely confront you with your financial reality. And maybe you're gonna realize that you are undercharging yourself, because Pisces, you give it all away. You are such a giving sign. And then at the end of the day, you wonder why you're broke, why you do not have like enough energy anymore. That is because you're you're a giver. So maybe it's time to look at the truth and the reality within that, and maybe you need to change something within that pattern. And where does that pattern come from? It comes from a lack of self-worth. And that is now becoming more crystal clear. Also, after all the energies leaving your sign. You are so beautiful, you're so mystical, you're so sensitive. You deserve the best. You need to reach for the stars, and only the best is good enough for you, my dear Pisces. Because sometimes you self-sabotage yourself with not believing enough in yourself. So do not overspend with this one, because you can feel very drunk with the full moon conjunct Neptune, and you can be like, oh yeah, well, money is gonna come anyway, and pooh, you spend something overly impulsive, sign of Aries, and then Saturn is there knocking on your back and telling you like, yeah, you're out of money. So like, I'm over dramatizing it for you guys, but you may decide that a meaningful investment is worth a kind of sacrifice, but be mindful of that energy. Yeah, Mary Beth says, I knew I was purging some more old energy and it was intense, but felt lighter after. Exactly. I feel the very same exact way, Mary Beth. I got confronted with like a pattern that I have been going through so many times. And back in the day, it would have like completely devastated me, and I would have like spiraled down into like self-pity and depression, which is also very like connected to Pisces. And I was like, oh well, it's happening again. What's new? We've been through that. We've seen that. It's my fault because apparently I have not learned my lesson yet, and it's okay, next time better. That was like a bit of the energy. Like, I think we could all feel the progress and how much we've learned within all of the difficult Pisces energy. So we need to tap ourselves on the back, because we're all getting our master degree from the universe for the sign of Pisces. And then we're gonna not have to deal with that for a very long time. I think for the next 18 years or so. All right. Yeah. Janice, hi Janice Levine. This Pisces is feeling hammered. Aries moon, Virgo rising. Janice, that is so striking. You had the full moon eclipse, then the new full moon in your sign, and a new moon in your rising sign, and the full moon in your moon sign, I meant. That is like ping, 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 ping. That are 3 moons after one another that are hitting your chart. So Janice, like autumn time for you, it is always like very striking, right? With a lot of changes and a lot of new beginnings. This is an interesting combination, Janice. Katie, oh, I love you so much, Katie. Sending so much love to you and the kitties across the pond. We will be lost at sea without you. That is so cool, because I love the sea and it's so applicable for the Pisces energy. See you next time, Katie. Thank you for saying that. Terry says, I'm Pisces and made a music mix for the eclipse in the mental hospital, also connected to Pisces, that I'm trapped in because doctors are child abusers. Oh my god, I should have read this comment more fully before I put it up on stage. Hopefully it's not too triggering for people watching here. But yeah, it's like, this is all Pisces energy. Spiritual bypassing, hidden things behind the veil, mental hospitals, and then music is also part of Pisces as well. So yeah, this kind of sums up Pisces in all of its multi-dimensional levels, but I'm not gonna like respond to that here on live, in a live. But thank you for sharing that, Terry, and your music is probably very, very beautiful as a Pisces. All right, so yeah, I think that was it. So, all right, you guys. That was it for today. Thank you all so much for being a part here. And if you're still here, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe here at the Beyond Mystic Consult. If you want to book in a session, then you can do that at the Beyond Mystic Consultation page. But do not forget to like, share, and subscribe at YouTube, at Rumble, at X, at my own personal Astrid channel. And yeah, the month of September, it is definitely more of a month for like unwinding a little bit more. We can all feel like we're in our kayak and we're like, oh, one hour it's calm and smooth, the next hour it's very like up and down with the square to Uranus from the eclipse, and we can feel like we're a little bit rowing against the tide for the first 10 days of this month. Do not burn yourself out. We are within the fire horse energy, and if you're gonna keep rowing against the tide, then your muscles are gonna be like very tired and very sore and very like it's very draining to keep kayaking and not getting like a meter ahead. Maybe we need to turn our boat and go with the flow a little bit more and stop pushing, stop forcing, stop wanting things to happen. And during like the aftermath of a Pisces eclipse, then we can feel like it can feel difficult to release the version of reality that you were hoping to happen. And the version of reality that you were hoping to happen, that is the one where you're rowing against the tide and where you're totally burning yourself out. So change your vision, change 180 degrees and go with the flow. Even if you do not know where we're going to end up. That is very applicable and very typical for Pisces eclipses. So yeah, I do not know where I'm going to end up in the next couple of months. My family does not know, my friends do not know. Everyone is like in this liminal in-between state, and that can feel very uncomfortable. And it's squared Uranus in Gemini, which is about uncomfortable. So we need to get out of our comfort zones, and we need to look at what's not working in our lives right now. Where whatever is confusing, that is a no right now. So everything that's confusing, everything that's making you doubt yourself, everything that feels draining, everything that's toxic needs to go. And that can be a process of grieving. But you have the time now with Mars square Saturn, because it's not a fun time anyway. So might as well dive into your deepest emotions and feel them. Because a lot of people run away from them, and escapism is also so much tied to Pisces. So do not run away from yourself. Yeah, it's difficult. Like, the only thing you're not being able to run away from is from yourself. And that becomes crystal clear during eclipses and Pisces. So I'm gonna quickly read at the comments before I hop off. Thank you so much, Christina. You are so sweet. Thank you so much, John and Tucker. We've got Tucker into the chat as well. Thank you, Camelia. Garden Star, and sending a lot of love to you. Mary Beth, you're so sweet as well. So yeah, Chris Cole says, wherever you end up, buy some silver, but I think it's also like, I first interpreted it here with like, wherever you end up, there will always be some kind of silver lining. And that is also what I kind of like I kind of heard that when I read your comment, Chris. So, yes, Maribeth, rather cry than like letting it block yourself. Katie, when Astrid is doing her show, the doctor's in the house. Yeah, you need to listen to what the doctors prescribed. And no, I do not have a license from the brainwashing universities. So, sending a lot of love to each and every one of you, and I will see you back during my next weekly astrology forecast on Tuesday. And thank you guys all so much for being here today. Sending a lot of love and hugs towards each and every one of you. Bye bye.